Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Random Health-ish. I am your host, Dr. Gloria Stone Osbeck, and today I have a very, very special guest for you today. Before I bring her on, I would like to give a shout out to a good friend of mine. She just created her own t-shirt company, and the website is tothewordonly.com, and it is so cute. Look at this shirt. Can you guys see it? It is so cute. So she has a lot of really nice t-shirts and sweatshirts and things like that with different, religious sayings and things like that on there as well. So definitely check her out and support her. Now, back to our guest for tonight. Her name is Miss CICELY Everson, okay? And she is an herbalist and a functional medicine practitioner. And tonight, she is going to be breaking down how we can live our best life holistically. So please join me in welcoming Miss CICELY Everson.
Hey.
Hello.
Okay, so here's the deal. I can't hear you from my phone, which is my original setup, but I can hear you perfectly from my computer.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm going to mute my phone and just give me a thumbs up if this works.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. You 1 sec. All right, perfect.
So, CICELY, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is CICELY Everson, and I work as an herbalist and functional medicine practitioner and a holistic healer. So a little bit of everything. We focus on using a holistic approach to really help people transform their health and wellness.
Yes. Nice. So, so talk to us a little bit. So you told us that you were an herbalist as well. So, talk to us a little bit about the herbalist aspect. Like, what does that entail exactly?
Yeah, so, well, when we talk about herbs, a lot of people think about like culinary herbs and things that we can use as medicine, which is right on. But there are also so many other plants that have medicinal value. So I basically help teach people how to use those medicinal plants to help, create specific changes in the body to help correct chronic disease and different things like that. So they can be very, very powerful. Even, oftentimes people are already on a medication. So I will work with them in terms of how to use those medicinal herbs, how to take them safely with maybe something that they're already on.
Yes, because I know that's a big issue is that a lot of people are concerned when they are taking herbs, if they are taking allopathic medications, that it can sometimes cause their allopathic medication not to actually fully work. So I know that was one.
Yeah, and that's important for people to know. You want to make sure that you're working with someone who understands that, because if you're taking, birth control, for example, and you take an herb that weakens those effects, like that's not a good situation, right? So
Right.
Those things can really, knowing those things, those are gems that can really help, improve your results.
Yes, definitely. Oh, nice. So, you're also a functional medicine practitioner. So, tell us, what is functional medicine exactly?
Yeah, so functional medicine is really more or less of an approach. And it's about helping people get to, the underlying causes, getting to the root causes of what's, causing their problems. If somebody's experiencing pain, for example, then functional medicine, we want to take a look at why the pain is there. Is it inflammation that's driving it? And if so, what is sparking that? Almost like when you think of a chronic disease or even chronic symptoms. If you have something that has not been diagnosed formally, it's sort of like a domino effect, right? So as a functional medicine practitioner, we want to find out what's causing that first domino, to hit all the others. And so it kind of turns us into a health detective, and really helps us sort of connect a lot of those missing dots.
Yes. So why would people come to you as opposed to just going to their medical doctor? Like, what would be the benefit of coming to see you for functional medicine?
That's a great question. So, it used to be where I would get people like I was their last resort. You know what I mean? They were like,
Yes.
I've done everything. I tried it all mainstream. It didn't work. I've been, working with my doctor and I'm not getting anywhere. So, fortunately, that paradigm is shifting where people are on their own wanting to uncover more. Natural health. And so when you come to a holistic or functional medicine practitioner, you are really getting someone who is taking your entire self into consideration. So, induced condition or with symptoms that are really at the root, may be caused by stress and anxiety. It's one thing to do that and to lead with a medication, but it's a whole other ball game when you have someone who really gets you and says, well, wait a minute, what is your home life like? Well, wait a minute, what's your diet like? What are your lifestyle habits? And to really help you break down some of those day-to-day things that mainstream medicine just does not target.
Right, definitely. And so you're also able to help people who have conditions such as diabetes or hormonal dysfunction or autoimmune disorders. Can you tell us a little bit about that process and what that entails?
Yeah, absolutely. And, really what I try to get people to understand is you don't have to be so attached to your label, whatever your diagnosis is, because believe it or not, one of the secrets that you and I know on the other side of it is that so many of these diseases and conditions are caused by some of the very same triggers, some of the very same things that really spark, this whole cascade of events. So with diabetes, you really want to look at digestion, helping to support your pancreas. That's what produces our insulin, and so kind of learning some of these fundamental things and helping clients really put them into practice really helps put them back in the driver's seat. When we look at autoimmunity, that is probably one of the scarier things because it is like consistently on the rise. And what people think about oftentimes when you say, well, can you name an autoimmune condition? And they might say lupus or multiple sclerosis,
Hmm.
but rheumatoid arthritis is one,
Yeah.
IBS is on the autoimmune spectrum. So just getting people to think differently and to not be so attached to their label, but to really work in tandem with me or with someone like you or another holistic practitioner who can help them kind of get to the underlying cause.
Yes, that's so true. A lot of people really don't realize that diet plays a major role into, a lot of the autoimmune disorders. Diet, um, vitamin deficiency, things of that nature. All of that plays a role in acquiring an autoimmune disorder.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many things about our diet that we are getting wrong. And we're not finding out until 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road after we've spent a lifetime eating the same foods, having the same habits. And then once we kind of start to unlearn that process, which really only happens if you go looking for it, it's
Hmm.
not really going to come to you, not from your doctor's office. And so that is important because if we can focus on reducing inflammatory foods, we can actually eliminate a lot of the symptoms that we're feeling and really start to put conditions into remission. We can do so much with diet. It's not 100% of the picture, but it is
Hmm.
a huge part.
Yes, and back to what you were saying with the labels, some people feel that once they are labeled or diagnosed with a disease, oh, I have this disease forever. But
Mhm.
it all breaks down to just changing your daily habits, and you can live your life in a better place, and holistically.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many people who have things that run in their family. We all do, right? If we were to like subscribe to every little thing that our mom or our dad or our auntie had, like that would be kind of depressing, and we have the opportunity to literally change the way our genes express themselves. So yes, you were born with this DNA. Yes, you were born with this genetic structure, but you can change the way your genes express themselves on a day-to-day basis just through your diet and your lifestyle, and using things like herbs and specific supplements to really help change the way your body is functioning.
Yes. So, Cicely, tell me, how did you get involved in functional medicine? Like, what is your story behind that?
Oh goodness, well, I was a hot mess. My health was a hot mess. I mean, I grew up as a really healthy kid. I didn't have any food allergies or anything like that. I could eat whatever. I wasn't picky. So I pretty much had like a picture perfect childhood health wise. I grew up in a household where my parents would take, a vitamin or a supplement before they would take a medication. So I always knew that there was power in natural health and natural healing. But it wasn't until I, at 18, got diagnosed with eczema, which I thought, even though I didn't know anything at the time, I was like, this is weird. Don't people usually get this as a kid or even as an infant? And so the fact that it started just out of nowhere at 18, that was a red flag. So I kind of started wanting to like research natural ingredients and just different things, but it was sort of touch and go, like for most of us when we start learning something new. And then fast forward to, I was in my late 20s, and I think my daughter was about a year and a half. My husband and I had just moved cross country from California to Delaware, which is where we live now. And we had a new baby. We were kind of newly married, and we were both looking for work. It was just crazy. And in hindsight, it was so much stress, so many different stressors, the parenting piece, the spouse piece, the
Yeah.
financial piece was a huge thing. And also just being uprooted and moving that distance, it was a lot. And so
Yes.
I didn't realize it then, but that played a big role. But what was happening with me is that what seemed like overnight, I couldn't digest things properly. I was breaking out into full on chronic hives from the neck down. I was very, very like irritable and depressed. I didn't feel like myself. And I knew that wasn't me, but I wasn't sure what was happening. That was my hormones and some other things happening there. And it turned out that I had severe gluten sensitivity
Mm.
at the time, which I've since reversed, but gluten sensitivity and adrenal dysfunction from stress, poor diet, poor lifestyle. And so I ended up working with one of my customers at the time who was a holistic practitioner. And she ran some tests with me, put me on a strict protocol in terms of herbs and supplements. And within just a few months, I was literally on the road to I had almost reversed everything. And in that second, I woke up one day and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I have to do. So that's how I kind of got thrown into it. It was like people say, a happy accident. It was through my own health trials that I discovered, holistic healing, functional medicine. And that just kind of led me down this path,
Yeah.
constantly learning.
That's such an awesome story. I remember when my daughter was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and she had eczema, but I noticed that it would only flare up when she ate candies with a lot of different dyes. The red, the yellow, all those different colors and things of that nature. So that was the only time she would have, an eczema flare up.
Mm-hmm.
So I started removing those things, and then I started, keeping her skin moisturized with organic shea butter and things like that, and it
Mm-hmm.
cleared up.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, even to this day, if she eats certain things, she'll get the
That's it.
dry, patchy skin. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing what our bodies try to tell us. Sometimes we just don't want to
I
listen, but
know.
our bodies are always trying to talk to us, right?
Yeah, we just want to eat what we want to eat.
Exactly. But we all have that magic threshold. And that's what I tell people, because people get sometimes discouraged, confused, and they're like, but I don't understand. I've been eating this all my life. And I'm like,
Mhm.
therein lies the problem. You know,
Right,
your
right.
body has a threshold. And if it's a food that's not necessarily good for you or health promoting, your body has a threshold. You're going to max out at some point. And
Yeah.
usually that happens when we become an adult and we're like, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that has happened to me actually with eggs. So I used
Oh.
to love eggs. Like I used to just scramble eggs up and put it on a sandwich. Like that's how much I loved eggs. And it's like now I can't even eat them because it makes me feel nauseated just, eating them.
Yeah, and that's a tip for your listeners that if you have a food that you eat every day religiously without fail, be careful because you have a higher rate of developing a food sensitivity to that food
Yeah.
because it's like your body can never clear it because it's constantly in your system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm actually going to do a food sensitivity test coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm
Oh,
gonna try to keep everybody posted on my process, but I'm gonna be doing a couple different tests. I'm gonna be doing the saliva test and all that stuff to, check my hormones out, stool
yes.
samples, all that
Those
fun
are
stuff.
those two are my favorite. The saliva and the stool tests are
Yeah.
my absolute favorite, hands down.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we find out. And me and a good friend of mine, she's also a chiropractor. Her name is Dr. Rachel Long. And we're going
Mhm.
to team up. And the plan is to hopefully use me as a guinea pig and get our research published. Um,
Oh, I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. So that's the goal that we're working
That's
on
so
right
good.
now. So, Cicely, so tell us about some of the things that you have coming up. So, I know you got some retreats coming up and a lot of good things
Yeah.
going on over there. So, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, well, what I'm launching next month, this is January. So, towards the end of February, I'm launching a brand new program that not even like my insiders, my email list, like nobody knows about it. So, you guys are hearing about it first. I'm launching a brand new program called Women's Total Healing Academy. And I work with everyone. I work with children, with men, with women, but the majority of my clients are women. And so I really felt the call to do a program that really catered to women's needs. And, we deal with a lot of stress, anxiety, hormonal imbalance, irritability. We just feel off. We don't know what the heck is wrong with us, or we think something's wrong with us. And so I feel like there are some holes that need to be filled. And so the Total Healing Academy is really about taking women through this 6 point framework, everything from your mindset and your negative thought patterns to your lifestyle habits, all the way, of course, to, detoxifying the body, targeting specific symptoms and conditions for, healing. And so that's coming up. Enrollment is open. It closes on the 15th of February. But if you aren't familiar with me and you want to get a little taste of how I work, I am hosting a free retreat that starts January the 11th, next Monday. And that's going to run for 7 days. It's free, and I'll be streaming that live. So definitely register for that. You can visit the website to do that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds like fun.
Yep. And if anybody is watching who's into using medicinal herbs or interested in learning more, I also teach herbalism. And so my next round of that starts January the 31st. And all of it you can see on the website. You'll see the dates.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is going to be so, like, I'm so excited about that. Tell us a little bit about your functional medicine program.
Yeah. So the program that I went through as a student or how I apply it with the clients.
Your membership program where people can join to be a member.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
for a lot of times it's helpful to like wrap services together so people don't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. It can feel overwhelming, especially if you are kind of new to what mainstream calls alternative. And I like to jokingly say like there's nothing alternative about like herbal medicine. It was like the earth's original medicine, right?
Yes.
But if you're new to any kind of alternative medicine or holistic health and wellness, you can become a member of we have a holistic health membership platform called the Well House. And that provides you with access to, we have a full dashboard online. It's like an online lounge where you can take online courses, you can watch how-to videos, you can download resources, and all of that is included in one price. And there's two levels. The first one is $37 a month. And then there's a higher level for people who definitely want the education, but they also want to wrap that into them having regular consultations and sessions to really kind of create that total picture. So that's a really helpful way that I think is more effective sometimes than just booking like one appointment at a time. Because when you have support, when you're supported, you have someone who's going to help hold you accountable. If you just book one appointment here, one appointment there, there's a lot of room for things to go wrong. You know what I mean? So it's oftentimes more effective. And so that's why I created the membership platform.
Yes. Robert asked, what are some recommended herbs that you can use to boost your immune system?
Oh, that's a good one. So here's the deal with the immune system. We all hear like, oh, let's boost it, let's enhance it, let's strengthen it. And that's all good. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But we do want to keep in mind, remember, because so many people are dealing with unknown autoimmune issues, even like IBS, we want to make sure that we're keeping the immune system balanced. So too much of a good thing can be too much of a good thing, right? So when we hear about herbs, for example, like elderberry, that's a wonderful herb that has antiviral properties. It helps reduce the duration if you do get sick. And it's great for colds and flu, or just as a preventative. That is something that can definitely help with the immune system. One of my favorite herbs to balance the immune system, well, two. One is astragalus, which is a root. That's a root herb. And that's really helpful because whether you have a weaker immune system or you have an autoimmune condition, or maybe you just don't know, like most people are just kind of like, I don't know. Astragalus can really help to bring balance. So it kind of closes that gap between you being too high or too low. Another group of herbs that I am really passionate about are medicinal mushrooms. Those are very, very powerful at regulating the immune system. And the reason why those are some of my favorites, the medicinal mushrooms like maitake, reishi, turkey tail, those and the astragalus, is because of the balancing effect. But if you're looking at herbs that you definitely want to boost your immune system and you're generally healthy, echinacea is always, it's a household name. Echinacea is a great one. Even herbs that help to stimulate circulation, like ginger. And a lot of us have that in our kitchen. So some of these you can even get more of through your diet. But when you're taking them medicinally, they'll have a deeper, more therapeutic effect. So those can be really helpful for the immune system.
Yeah, and they can make like herbal teas, and just kind of brew
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. And if you're not into hot tea, you can steep it and then let it come to room temperature and ice it. So there are a lot of different options and ways that you can get your herbs in, on a daily basis.
Yeah. So where would someone purchase like those herbs and mushrooms and things of that nature that you just mentioned?
So it kind of depends on the person. For people who are looking for done-for-you formulas, you can find them anywhere you look. I mean, you do want to be careful in terms of brand quality and the sourcing and everything. You want to make sure that whoever you're purchasing from does either make or sell sustainable herbs that have been sourced sustainably. So you can find quality sources online. We have a lot of in-house formulas at Tao Holistics. That's one of the main things that we do is we customize formulas to the client's need. But we have maybe about 14 or 15 in-house formulas already. These are combination formulas that you can use for specific things like building or balancing immunity. So we do have a mushroom product where it's about 6 or 7 mushrooms combined. That's in a liquid, so it's nothing that has to taste gross. You mix it with a little water or juice and drink it. But you can also find other sources like mountain rose herbs. I'm not sure what they have along the line of formulas, but that depends on what you're looking for. Some people love to be hands-on and they want to make things themselves. And if
Yeah.
that's the case, then Mountain Rose Herbs is a good source. But if you're looking for done-for-you formulas, we have a ton of them in house, and we also sell some bulk herbs in small quantities, which is perfect for like making herbal teas or infusions. You can even make, a few days worth at a time and then consume that without having to make something every day.
Yeah. And can they be purchased on your website as well?
Yes, they
Mhm.
are available on the
Oh, nice.
website. Yep, everything is there. And if it's something like a specific need that people have and they don't see, maybe they don't think there's anything there for them, we do customize and do custom blends. So that's something that we offer all the time.
Yeah, I think that was something that I was really like, oh my God, that the fact that you're a product formulator. You don't really meet too many people that formulate their own products. A lot of times we just go
Right.
to the local markets and we just purchase things. So I think
Right.
that's pretty cool.
Well, again, it happens kind of by accident because when I got diagnosed with eczema, my skin it was crazy, not to mention, the whole breakout thing. And so one of the first things that I did was I started to work with ingredients in terms of making natural skincare products. That's kind of how it started from the skin perspective. But yeah, so formulating is very near and dear to my heart because there was a time where I felt like I had to wear a face full of makeup or cover up because if not, people would say, oh my gosh, like what's that, rash or itchy patch on
Hmm.
her skin. So there was a time when it was very serious, because that affects your self-esteem. It affects you going out into social and public, places and environments. So for sure. Hmm.
Yeah. All right. So, in becoming an herbalist and a functional medicine practitioner, what type of education did you have to get in order to be able to serve the community?
That's a great question. So, as far as the functional medicine goes, I was in a program that caters to existing healthcare practitioners. So, a lot of medical doctors, chiropractics, who kind of um, are attracted to this program because of the core values of helping people get to the underlying causes. So, I did study for about a year in functional medicine. And prior to that, a couple years prior to that, around 2014, is when I started studying herbalism a little more deeply. So I worked with a doctor who used to sit on the chair of the board of iridology, which is where they look at the iris and the pupil of
Hmm.
your eye, and fascinating equipment, right?
Yeah.
Where they can sort of look and diagnose and tell you what's happening with your entire body just by looking at your eye. So I trained in herbalism with that doctor, Dr. Mickey Jones, and just from there, just continue to study and learn. And so the learning never stops. But those were my two initial, pathways into going deeper with medicine. And then the formulating, that was about 2011, 2012. And I studied that through the American College of Healthcare Sciences. They offer really, really broad spectrum. So, and that's the thing, when you're in like the holistic world, you can't just go to like Wilmington University or whatever the local colleges where you live and
Yeah.
just say, oh, I want to take A, B, and C. No, you've got to search because you're going to this school for that, this school for that. And so it's just all about just continuing, that process.
Yes. What is one of the toughest conditions would you say you had to kind of help someone overcome?
Oh, um, two. Can I do
Yeah.
two?
Yeah.
So the first one I would say is like stage 3 to stage 4 kidney disease.
Hmm.
And I was able to help a lady who was diagnosed with that not need surgery. Like she was going to be put on the list for like kidney transplant. And
Wow.
she was mentally ready. You can have a need, but you also have to be mentally ready. Just like all of us in any sector of life, when you're ready,
Hmm.
and then you also know when you're trying to fool yourself and tell yourself that you're ready. So, she had obviously been doing the mental work and she was like, I'm ready. I want to do this naturally. So that would be one. And then the second is a gentleman who had multiple sclerosis, and he kind of was starting from scratch. So he is a perfect testimony for anybody out there. If you're watching and you're like, I don't know where to start, I don't cook, I don't know the first thing about herbs. All I know is I take my medicine that my doctor gives me. I work a full-time job, so I'm stressed like the next person. And you have a life, right? You have a house to run and all that. So he had multiple sclerosis. He didn't know a lot, right? He didn't know much. And I started with him on his diet and maybe like 1 or 2 supplements. But I'm a firm believer in meeting people where they are. So I was like, just tell me where you are. Like, tell me what you need. So I started just with diet. And within 3 weeks, he was like, Cicely, I can't believe I'm about to say this because I almost didn't even do your program, but I'm about like 75% better. Like my symptoms, there's so many things that I can't even feel anymore that I did before, just from changing my diet and taking a couple of supplements. That was like miraculous, you know? And it's not about, oh, can I cure this, or can I, you know, in your body when you feel healing happen. And so, you know, I just tell people, start where you are, you know, and work with a practitioner to do something that you can commit to. You don't have to take 5 or 6 things at a time. Start, you know, start where you are. So those are 2 major stories that really stick out in my mind, that even me as a practitioner, I was just like so proud, like a proud parent. But at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, like, again, I never cease to be amazed by the power of, you know, natural healing.
Yes, and it's kind of the same way with chiropractic because, you know, when you get those patients and they come in your office and they can barely stand up or barely walk, and after a few adjustments, you know, I had one patient, he came in with a cane, and after his adjustment, and he was like 80, he's like 80. And after
Wow.
his adjustment, I had to remind him, I was like, hey, don't forget your cane. He was like on his way out the door.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
From
but
one
you know,
session?
yeah, for one adjustment. But
That's
you know, with some
incredible.
people with chronic issues, of course, it takes a little bit more than one adjustment. But for him, that was one adjustment, and he was like leaving his cane behind. So, you know, I
Right.
definitely understand, you know, just to see people get better right before your eyes is just like, oh my God, I just can't believe it, you know?
It's just really humbling, and it's just very touching, you know, because it shows me that really as humans we really are powerful, and we can create anything that we want as long as we know what it is that we want and we're willing to do the work.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You also do Reiki consultations. So
Right.
tell us, what is Reiki? Because I know some people probably have never heard of that before.
Right. Okay. So Reiki is a form. I do shamanic Reiki. And so I call that Reiki with a twist. I'll tell you why in a second. But Reiki is like an ancient form of deep relaxation and energy healing, is what it is. So the the branch of Reiki through which I study, the doctor who kind of like recreated this or created it, he wanted to know, he was Japanese, and he wanted to know, how did these healers like Jesus, and like, how did they heal people through the laying on of hands? Like no drugs, no medicine, no herbs,
Yes.
nothing special. How did this happen? Through his work, um, in his journey, he realized it was really about the practitioner channeling that healing energy. And so
Mhm.
I do with Reiki, and I do it over the distance, probably more so than I do in person. So you don't have to come to me and lie on the Reiki table, or which is like a massage bed. You don't have to lie down there to get your treatment. We can literally do it over the distance. And Reiki is really creates deep healing, relaxation in the body, but it can help with more than just physical needs. So it can help with mental and emotional, spiritual disconnect. The reason why I call it Reiki with a twist is because I also serve as a shaman. And a shaman, if you think of like native groups or indigenous peoples from way, way back, you know, in history books and things, there are still some that exist today. But if you
Yeah.
picture those groups from every group, every tribe healer, every group had someone who helped facilitate healing, whether it was mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical. And so I serve in that capacity. And basically, all a shaman means is that I work with the spirit world on behalf of my client. So, yes, that means just like you might sit down at night or pray whenever. I channel and connect them with Jesus, with the angels, goddesses. There are so many, even our ancestors. You know, there's so much power there. So I use that energy to help with the healing process.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. My husband and I, we took a trip to Mexico last February, and we were blessed by a shaman. And
Oh,
it was in Tulum, and
uh,
he was a part of the Mayan civilization. So,
I can't wait to go to Tulum. That's on our list.
oh, you got
Hopefully.
to have a retreat there. When I tell you, it is like. I want to describe it as like a hippie kind of like relaxing. Like you even have some hotels that don't have like electricity. It's just all like kind of getting you in tune with nature and things like that. It
Right.
was, oh my God, it was absolutely beautiful. We were there for a week and it was
Oh, I
nice.
can't wait to go. That sounds amazing.
It was really nice. So I
So
think
it's
that
just
was,
nice. Yeah, it's just, and it's nice to feel supported spiritually, you know, because a lot of times people feel like, oh, well, you know, I follow this religion. I don't know if I can like do this, but it's, you know, void of any religion. It's just about connecting in with, you know, the greater source, with yourself, and just feeling supported, because that's at the end of the day, that's what we all need.
yes, definitely. I definitely agree with that. So
Mhm.
let's see. Is there any like kind of final remarks that you kind of want to, any kind of final thoughts you want to leave with the listeners?
Oh, I would say, sure, I'll give a little bit of homework. I would say thinking about where you are now. Ask yourself where you want to be. So if it is a physical health need, if it's a mental, emotional health need, wherever you feel out of balance, write down where you want to be and start visualizing that perfect place. You know, everybody has their own version of perfect health that they can work up to. So I always encourage people to write it down, but also visualize it. And I mean in specific detail, like, you know, what are you wearing? You know, how are you feeling in your body? Look at yourself in the mirror in this visualization. You know, what do you sound like? Who is around you? Because
Yeah,
who and what we surround ourselves with also contributes to our healing or the lack thereof. You know,
yeah,
so when we talk about like detoxing, it's not always about detoxing physically, it's about detoxing and some habits. And so I would say, think about where you are, write down what it is that you want to see, and really start that visualization process. And of course, you have to do some work to get there, but first, you got to set that intention. If you don't know where you want to be, you're just going to be living by default. And
yeah.
that's,
No way
you
to
know,
live.
no, it's 2021. We got to set some intentions.
Yep, yep, yep. Write the vision and make it plain.
Absolutely.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. You guys, if you have not already done so already, please, please, please take down her contact information. If you are struggling with your health, definitely contact her because I am almost certain that she can help you. Okay, so on the screen, you see her website, which is www.taoholistics.com, TAOHOLISTICS.com. And you can also email her, and her phone number is 302-344-1789. So definitely link up to her, join her program. If you are struggling with your digestive issues, autoimmune disorders, eczema, just things that you don't even think about, hormonal issues, infertility, all of that kind of plays a role into your diet and in things that we are putting or not putting into our bodies. So
Mhm.
definitely reach out to her, and I'm so excited. Make sure you guys tune in Thursday night All right. This is a special edition show. I normally do not have shows on Thursday nights, but on this Thursday night, I am going to be interviewing nurse practitioner Tamika Morrow, and she is going to be talking to us about the COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the pros and cons, and you guys can come on and ask whatever questions that you may have. So that will be this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, so I hope you guys have a blessed night. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Bye and be blessed.
Bye.